For nearly a decade, Red Bull Racing has dominated Formula One with a combination of technical brilliance, aggressive strategy, and most importantly, the generational talent of Max Verstappen. Yet alongside this towering success lies one of the most strangest difficulties and paradoxes in all of the sport's history: the persistent failure of the team's second driver. From Daniel Ricciardo's departure in 2018 to the rapid cycling of Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Sergio Perez, Liam Lawson, and now Yuki Tsunoda, the seat beside Verstappen has become a revolving door, a pressure cooker, and in many ways, a poison chalice. Daniel Ricciardo was the final Red Bull driver to achieve consistent success. He struggled to maintain parity once Verstappen had arrived. As ESPN had noted back in the day, Ricciardo's earlier years with Max were marked by rising tension, on-track clashes, and a growing sense that the team had mobilized around Verstappen as its long-term star. By 2018, Ricciardo felt overshadowed and left for Renault, marking the beginning of Red Bull's modern second-seat curse. Gasly's promotion in 2019 was meant to be the next chapter in Red Bull's junior program's success. Instead, it became one of the shortest and most painful stints in the team's history. Gasly was outscored by Verstappen by about 120 points in just 12 races before being demoted back to Toro Rosso. The pressure and the car's sharp handling and the Verstappen-centric development philosophy proved to be simply too overwhelming. Alex Albon then replaced Gasly mid-season and faced the same structural problems. In 26 races, Verstappen outqualified him 25 times. Albon showed flashes of brilliance, but never found the confidence or the consistency to survive the environment. And by the end of 2020, he too was removed from that seat. Sergio Perez was the first non-Academy Red Bull driver it had hired in years, a sign of how desperate the team had become for stability. But even with his experience, he found the environment nearly impossible. Perez would then openly admit, very recently actually, that everything was a problem at Red Bull, and that being Max's teammate was the best and the worst job in F1. His performance collapsed in 2024, leading to his exit and a year away from the sport before now resurfacing this season with Cadillac. Liam Lawson's 2025 promotion was brief, very brutal. He was immediately ousted after failing to adapt to Verstappen's tailored machinery. Yuki Tsunoda, though, who stepped in, despite his years of development, also struggled and ultimately got replaced at the end of this season. Both drivers fell victim to the same structural issue: car and team philosophy built around Max Verstappen's incredible and unique driving style, which is not to say that it was unfair, because Max was delivering and has been delivering on this development year in and year out, coming literally within points of taking yet another world championship. Now in 2026, the landscape has shifted dramatically. Christian Horner, out. Helmut Marko, out. Adrian Newey, he's moved on to Aston Martin. And other key figures have departed as well. This is the first time in Verstappen's Red Bull career that the internal power structure around him has been reset. Isack Hadjar now enters the second seat at the moment when the team is forced to rethink its identity. Without Marko Helmut's notoriously ruthless management style and Horner's Verstappen-first political ecosystem, Hadjar may find a more balanced environment, one where he, as the second driver, is not simply a supporting character, but a developmental priority. Under this new structure, Hadjar may receive a car setup philosophy that's less extreme and slightly less Verstappen specific, more psychological support and less public pressure, a longer runway for his adaptation to the team, and a team culture overall that values both drivers' feedback and doesn't eventually slip into leaning towards simply one. Even with the new environment, the second seat will still remain a difficult job. If Hadjar struggles, Red Bull will face another crossroads yet again. The most obvious successor would be Arvid Lindblad. His raw pace and rapid progression through the driver program has allowed for him to become the natural candidate. But promoting him too early still risks repeating the same Gasly and Alexander Albon cycle. If Red Bull seeks more stability rather than youth, they may look outward again. But here are two names, believe it or not, that actually are realistic. If McLaren's competitiveness stalls, who better to take the seat than Norris? He certainly has the resume now that speaks for itself, and is a uniquely Verstappen-friendly competitor. Also, Oscar Piastri, a driver who Verstappen has expressed respect for, and someone who has experience with intra-team politics on full display. Despite the history, I genuinely hope Hadjar succeeds. Every driver who has taken that seat, Ricciardo, Gasly, Albon, Perez, Lawson, Tsunoda, they all deserve better than their circumstances. And Hadjar now has something none of them did: fresh leadership structure and a team forced to rethink its philosophy. Red Bull's second seat has shaped careers, broken confidence, and rewritten the sports narrative all over the grid. Consider how many Red Bull drivers are currently F1 from the Red Bull driver program. Then you'll begin to understand how important this second seat is, not just for the driver, not just for the team, but how it shapes the sport altogether.